Hello and good evening and welcome to the Same Old Arsenal. It is another Pots preview. We do not want to talk about the past because I'm still not over Thursday night. However, we're going to look to the future because we are in the FA Cup and it is back this weekend. And it is for us back tomorrow evening. We are going to be playing Portsmouth and I have with me a Portsmouth fan. Now, this guy I have not spoken to properly, probably for about 10 years since I last actually met him on holiday. But I knew that he was a Portsmouth fan there. And the last time I did speak to him, he was in the Premier League. But we won't speak about that too much. Matt, how are you, mate? You good?
Doing well. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me here, Dan. I appreciate everything.
Mate, we appreciate you. And you're over, you're not in the UK, is that right?
Yeah, I'm over in North Carolina now. Live over here.
Oh, so you don't get so many Portsmouth games now then, mate?
No. I flew home last year for the what would be the JPT, the old Johnson Paint Trophy, but it was the Checker Trade Cup. Flew home for that final last year. So that was fun.
Okay, mate. Well, listen, thank you very much for joining us, mate. We are going to talk some Portsmouth as well as some Arsenal in a bit. Joining me also is over from Guns and Yellow Ribbons. It is Mr. Guns and Yellow Ribbons himself. The Irish Paul Merson is back. It is Fergus Keating. How are you, mate? Loving the shirt.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. You're very chirpy, as ever.
49. That's my age, mate. I'm 49. 49 I was. 49.
And it's a good number. It's 49, a good number.
And I'm undefeated.
Man, we are definitely going to be bringing that up at some point.
1971 I was born in. 1971. 10 years before those fuckers.
Brilliant. And also joining me from the same podcast, who is always on there now and is a regular and has been on Same Old Arsenal before, it's Corey. Corey, how are you, bruv?
I'm okay, Dan. I'm trying to keep my spirits up after Thursday. But yeah, I'm good.
Man, it was a nightmare on it, but mate, we're going to try and forget about it and move forward with it and stay positive. That's what I'm going to try and do. Also joining me is Lewis. Lewis, you're back. You dropped off, but are you here, mate?
Yes, I'm here.
Good, man. Thanks for coming on, bro. Boys, it's a full house tonight, and we're going to try and stay as positive as we can. Matt, I tell you what, we always start with Arsenal, so we're going to start with Portsmouth because, man, a lot has happened. A lot has happened with Portsmouth since I last spoke to you. The last time that I spoke to you was at the Emirates when you come to Arsenal versus Portsmouth, and that must have been about 2009, something like that, mate.
When was the Emirates Stadium opened?
2006, 7. So it must have been around that time, maybe even.
It was that we went. It was the first time Portsmouth. You just opened up your. The new stadium that season, and we went 2-0 up. Actually, I went to that game. Obviously, met up with you, and we went to the game with 2-0 up. And then I think the game finished 2-2. But whatever, it's typical Pompey.
I remember the game. We went 2-0 down, and we scored 2 in a minute, I think, to make it 2-2. Yeah. I do remember it now. But I mean, that was a long time ago, man. So give us a bit of a rundown, Matt, because it must be a strange time for you boys. It was not long ago that you were in the Premier League. What's kind of happened since then, man?
Yeah, so obviously the Premier League screwed us with the fit and proper 3 times. Took points off of us and everything like that, and so ended up in obviously the Championship. I mean, we couldn't even pay players. You know what I mean? Got points taken off us there as well. Ended up in League One and failed miserably there as well. Still no club, no players playing. Whoever would come and play, a little bit like Bolton's situation right now. Whoever could play at the time, go and do it. And then ended up in League Two with I think it was like a minute spare before they wound us up at the courts, and the fans bought the club in the end. You know, we all X amount of pounds and ended up buying the club, and now it's rosy again. Now we've been bought by in League Two, I think 2-3 years ago now. We got bought by a American billionaire. His name's Michael Eisner. Runs or used to run Walt Disney, essentially. He was the CEO of Walt Disney. Has a few of his own companies now. And he, fair play to him and his sons and everything. He's come in and
Does that make you a Mickey Mouse Club?
Yeah, we're essentially, but not anymore, right? Because he doesn't own it. He doesn't own as Walt Disney anymore.
Mickey Mouse is our owner, mate.
Yeah. Well, we
Sorry,
won't
Mark.
go there just yet. We won't go there just yet. But no, so he came in, and the one thing that he mentioned was he's not going to throw money at the club. Like you've seen it, as Premier League, fans, you saw Portsmouth. We were up there. I mean, we were one of the best. We won the FA Cup. We were in Europe. I mean, we were paying these players. Sol Campbell, I mean, we were apparently rumored to be paying him in the hundreds. And I mean,
Wow.
What the hell was that all about? You know what I mean? We were just throwing money in. I mean, look who else, was one of the managers at that time was Harry Redknapp, Mr. Wheeler and Dealer himself. And so it just wasn't pretty. Let's put it that way. But then, like I said, the fans bought it. Eisner then took over. He hasn't been throwing money. We're not buying, paying millions of pounds on players and stuff like that. We've just gradually been working it, as you typically would. And he's been investing a lot in, the stadiums, upgrading the stadium. And literally, when I say upgrading the stadium, I mean, we had to have a new roof put on one of the stands because it was leaking, pissing water everywhere and stuff like that. So he's done stuff he's come in, he's, trying to get training grounds set up. We're trying to get a infrastructure, basically, a better youth system, academy system, because, academy was...
There's even restricted access for the game on Monday, isn't there? The attendance, the allocation that we can have has been reduced because of the works that are going on at the stadium.
I'm guessing so, yeah. It doesn't help that basically the police box is next to you guys as well, right? And so they kind of block off now a new section. It never typically was like that, by the way. You had whole what we call the Milton end, which is I think it's about 2,000 plus seat end there. But typically now what the police are doing is they're trying to block off either side. There's been a few unfortunate incidents, with I suppose flares and stuff like that, and so they're trying to block that off, and they've narrowed it down now a little bit, and they're putting the police there in between and stuff. So that's probably why they've done that. I didn't know at that time until you just mentioned it there, but I can probably understand why they did it again when we played Southampton this season in the League Cup. But I mean that was more of a critical game, I suppose, a little bit more of a crazier game.
Derby.
But, we're excited. Yeah, we're excited to, have Arsenal down here. We're doing well in the league right now. I'm not too sure if you've seen us. We've gone on a bit of a run. We're third right now with a game in hand. We haven't. The only team that's beaten us at Fratton Park so far this season is Southampton in the League Cup, and we don't count that one anyway. So we don't. We're not putting that one in there.
Can I ask you a question about your rivals?
Yeah.
They built a new stadium. They moved from the Dell to St Mary's, and apparently it was a Pompey building firm that built it, and they've buried many items underneath that pitch, including a Pompey shirt, plus other items which we shouldn't talk about. Is it true?
Yeah.
Is it true?
So it is. I cannot confirm nor deny, but I've heard the same rumor myself. Is a lot of Portsmouth boys have built that stadium. I know they actually, and I'm sure you saw this one years ago go viral as well. We actually built their training facility as well, and in the walls they plastered Portsmouth shirts in the walls, and they recorded it and put the walls up, and then obviously they knocked down the walls to get it out because it went viral and everything like that. So if I'm honest with you, yes, I truly believe it. I mean, they've already done it to their training ground, so why wouldn't they have done it to the stadium if it's already there? So they put a little bit of a timeshare, I believe it is, into the halfway line, they said. So yeah,
wow.
So it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride, from Europe to League Two, going away to Grimsby, going away to teams like that, But it's been, I wouldn't change it for the world, honestly. I wouldn't change it for the world because as a kid growing up, your dad, and you guys probably wouldn't have felt like this, especially you, Dan. But, your dad, whatever, your old man would always say, well, it could be worse. You have never seen him in the fourth tier of the English football, but now we have. So, You know, we've seen them all the way, and it's been miserable. It's been ups and downs, and I mean, we won League Two we were top of the league for about 13 minutes that whole season, and it was the last 13 minutes of the game. We were top of the league, and we won the league.
Sorry, Dan, I'm going to jump in again.
Blimey, go on in, Fergus.
Sorry, it's massive. Does your support change regardless if you're in League like 2?
I don't think it has.
The Premier League.
I don't think it has. Honestly, we've sold, I think it's 14,000, maybe 15,000 season tickets. We've only got an 18,000 seater right now. So I think it's 14,000 and plus the...
You yourself, Matt.
No.
See,
no,
this is my point, which I've said to many an Arsenal fan, and Lewis, Corey, Dan will know I'm diehard, yeah. But you know, I don't deserve a medal or nothing like that. But I support Arsenal through thick and thin. But there's so many people, because we're such a large club and a large following, and there's so many people on Twitter and social media, various levels, which will just slag us off because we got knocked out of Europe on Thursday night and so on. But it doesn't matter. If we ended up in the conference, I'm still there on a Saturday.
You and I both, Fergus. Like, you know, what an opportunity it would be if we did drop down there. You know, you can't just support your club when at the highest of highs and not be there for the lowest of lows. I think that's just wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, I think what's amazing as well, Matt, is you Pompey fans, because the last time that I remember watching you guys on TV was obviously 2004, 2005 when you was up there in the league with us. And I remember we were winning 5-1. And I spoke to you about this at Fratton Park, and we had Thierry Henry and all of our Invincibles at the time. And all the Pompey fans were singing was, "We're going to win 6-5. Together in unison, right? With about 10 minutes to go. And I thought, wow, this is outstanding. And not only that, Thierry Henry then obviously was clapping the fans, and he put on a Pompey shirt, and all of the Portsmouth fans were singing Thierry Henry, Thierry Henry. And I thought, wow, this is special. And I remember Freddie Ljungberg, I think, got man of the match that game, and he was on the interview afterwards. He just said, that is the best ground with the best fans that I will ever play in. And I just thought that must be the biggest compliment that a player like that can give fan base like Portsmouth. And you said it, you've gone right the way down. All the fans have stuck together. They're unbelievable in terms of how they're uniting. And one thing I've always brought up is about how your Arsenal fans can be toxic and they cannot. It's very, very hard to unite Arsenal fans. I know it's different because there's a lot more Arsenal fans because of the size of the club, etc. But you boys really have stuck together. And is that true? Is that true to you? Is that something you would agree with?
Yeah, I think it, and to be honest with you, I thought it kind of like in the Premier League, you know, it becomes that tourist attraction. Not Portsmouth. Portsmouth's not a tourist attraction. If you've ever been down there, it's definitely not that. But like, you know, I feel like, you know, it brought us all together a bit more. Like, it wasn't a case of, it was more to do with like, okay, we've now got a club still. We've managed to survive. We got a club. Let's just go out and do it. You know, we've spent a couple of years in League Two. You know, we're in our, I think, third year now in League One. Hoping to go up maybe this season, you know, and it's been great. I mean, I think the fans have actually come closer together. You know what I mean? Like we went from the Premier League where, like, you know, when we were like 7th in the Premier League, 8th in the Premier League, we kind of like expected to like win games. Like it was like, oh, you go to, you know, teams like West Ham, but you expect to win that game now. But like you shouldn't. Like we got out of that mentality very quickly. You know what I mean? And like I said, well, I took the piss out, like, you know, having gone to Grimsby, but I think they even smashed us in League Two, by the way, when we played them one year. So like, I'm not. You put your feet firmly back on the ground quickly when you go all the way down that quick. I think the fans have joined together. They've been brilliant. I mean, I feel like, you know, it's not being big-headed, but Portsmouth has got to be one of the best fan bases in England. Like, there's not many people who can say that. You know, Mourinho, when he was at Man United 2 years ago, he even brought up Portsmouth in a press conference about like Man United being miserable fans and everything like that. And he even said, like, you know, you go to Portsmouth and they're just on top of you. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're just going to keep singing. I was at that game as well, Dan, when we lost 5-1 in the FA Cup. I think even Campbell scored against us, in fact.
Yeah.
And it was just the noise inside that little stadium that just gets generated. It's just nuts because, you know, it's just passion. We don't expect to win. Like tomorrow, and I mean, you guys could laugh. I've already spoke to a bunch of Arsenal fans out here. You know, we're going to go out the pub tomorrow and watch it. You know, a lot of the fans have gone, oh yeah, but it's Arsenal, we can do anything. But like you say that, but you're a Premier League side. I think you're going to beat us. I think you will win, and you should win. You know, you're Premier League, we're League One, but we are going to give it a hard go because let me tell you something, we've got nothing to lose. We kind of, if I'm going to be brutally, yeah, and that's what I was going to say. We kind of don't need to be in this cup anymore. Like, if I'm honest with you guys, right? It'd be brilliant if we went on to Wembley and won it, whatever. That'd be awesome. What a fairy tale that would be, right? But right now, we've played ridiculous amount of games because we had to go, obviously, start from round 1 in the FA Cup. So this is our 5th game just alone in the FA Cup. So we've had a cup run, which is awesome. You know, you get to the 5th round and you get knocked out by Arsenal. You take it all day long, you know. We've got to... You know, we got round, I think, to the 4th round or the 3rd round of the League Cup. And then we're in that Mickey Mouse trophy again, I think it's called the leasing.com one this year. We're in the final of that one.
And that's the Champions League, Matt.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I wish it was. Let's put it that way. It would be nice. But, you know, so we've played a lot of games. And now we've gone on this run in the league as well and put us 3rd. You know, it's going to be great for the players to experience playing against, you know, Premier League players and stuff like that. But eventually, you know, what is the end goal here? And the end goal is to get promoted to the Championship, I believe, for us. And if we win against Arsenal tomorrow, I'm going to be celebrating. If we lose, the only thing I ask to do is don't lose 4-0 or something like that. Can we lose like 1-0, 2-1? The only goal that I've got tomorrow is can we score a goal? And it will just be wild at Fratton Park. I tell you tomorrow, if we score just 1, it will just be nuts.
Yeah, man, I have to agree. I can see you scoring as well. I've got to be honest. Corey, we'll come to you, man, because FA Cup's back. How seriously should we take this competition now?
Quite serious. Quite serious. You always want to win. You always want to get a trophy. You know, winning breeds more winning. You know, trophies breed more trophies. But there's still some good teams in it, and it will be difficult to win. But obviously, we are capable. But where we find ourselves now is that, you know, we actually need to put a run of wins together in the league in order to really salvage something from this season. So if the FA Cup gets in the way of that, I'm happy to let it go. But if it doesn't, and we can rotate the team properly and get good results in both competitions, then we should do that.
Yeah, Lewis, coming to you, man. FA Cup. A competition that we love in our history, a competition that we have actually done very well in the last sort of 5 to 10 years. Do we go all out to win the FA Cup, or is the league now more important, Lewis?
For me, I would rather concentrate on the league. I mean, yeah, it's great to have an FA Cup back in the cabinet, but we've won it the most times out of everybody. And considering what happened on Thursday night, you know, it's also a good opportunity for us to, you know, have something to look forward to, if that makes sense to you guys. But for me, the main priority should be getting out of 9th, 10th place, because we have been there for a hell of a long time, and I'm getting lots of stick from a lot of opposition fans. And it's another weekend based on the results this weekend where we can actually, you know, I've looked at it. we can try and get up the league. So for me, I would rather the league, to be fair. I'm not really that fussed with the FA Cup.
I have to agree, and it's hard for me to say that, man, because I love this competition, but we have got to try and do all we can to try and fight with the guys that have, again, dropped points this weekend. So it's going to have to be all about the league for me. Fergus, what about yourself, man? The FA Cup means a lot to you, I know, because I've been to games with you and finals with you and stuff. But what do we do, man? Do we try and win every single game, or do we just try and prioritise the league now?
I think we have to have a winning mentality regardless. So we've got to win every game that's put in front of us. I think that's just an ethos that you have to have within the club, and I think that's what Arteta is trying to do. Personally, I'm a bit like Lewis in the sense that I'm all for. Look, listen, my most amazing favourite day. It was with you, Dan, at the Chelsea FA Cup final, our last FA Cup final, at the 13th. Nobody else has won as many FA Cups as Arsenal, and we were there on that day, and that was amazing. We went in there in the semi-final against Man City. We thought we're dead and buried. We beat them, and then we get to the final, and we think we're dead and buried. Just go and let's have a good day out. And we had an amazing day out, and we came home with a trophy. There was nothing better than that day that I experienced. It's one I'll take to my grave. But if it means that we win the FA Cup and we end up 9th or 10th in the league and we end up back in the Europa League again, no thanks. I'm happy. Pompey, if you go ahead and win it and we can help you, that's fine. I don't want to lose tomorrow. I can't say that. Okay. But I want 4th or 10th. I don't want Europa League. I'll take a year out of Europe. Work out from there what my thoughts are.
I'm totally with you, man.
To answer Paul's question, no, I'm not in Ireland. I'm actually living in Essex.
I did see that. Listen, I'm going to have to agree with Ferguson. I did say this on the Same Old Arsenal a few weeks ago, and a lot of people ripped me for it and said, "Oh, you're not a real fan." I didn't say that I want Arsenal to lose. What I said was I do not want to see us in the Europa League next season. What that means is that if we are no longer able to get 4th or 5th, depending on what happens with Man City, which I personally don't think will happen anyway, so I think it's got to be 4th. I don't think we will get 4th, which means I don't want us to win the FA Cup, which puts us back into the Europa League. I would rather be out of Europe. And it will be very interesting now, boys, to see what happens to us playing one game a week, to see if that theory is correct or if it's wrong. Because what we'll start to see happening now over the next few weeks, if we do put a run together, that's because we're playing one game a week. So let's see what happens there. Because that would be quite interesting. It's always nice. It's always nice to see them lose. Let's be honest. What I'll do, Matt, just quickly before we go back to start talking about Arsenal more, is just ask you about a couple of your players that could cause some problems tomorrow night. Because I know that is it Curtis has been scoring for you? Is that right?
Yeah. So, and I've got a question for you boys. Actually, going back. Let's start with going back a minute. And I was talking to my old man about this today, on FaceTime. A lot of you, like big clubs, Arsenal, Man United, Man City, have been complaining. I'm not saying you guys have probably done it either, but you've been complaining about, like, you've had too many games, you don't want Europe and stuff like that. Like, to me, like, that's where you guys should be just chomping at the bit to beat Pompey, to get on this cup run and go, it could be like essentially an easy win for you maybe tomorrow, depending who turns up. If you could beat us 3-4-0 and it'd be easy, and you could rest 3 of your best players by half time. You know what I mean? And then who knows what happens? Like, I think my concern for like the big clubs is that the fact that you guys you do a lot of complaining instead of going in there and just doing it, right? You're not going in there with a mentality of like, oh yeah, but if we win the FA Cup, we're going to get Europe. Why would you only want to go to one game a week? Why not 2 games a week? Like, why do you not want to follow Arsenal? Well, I'm just using Arsenal as an example, right? Because I've heard this from other fans, like Man City, Man United, and stuff like that. Man City fans were saying the same when they got kicked out of Europe this week. They're, oh, it's okay. We'll win the FA Cup. We'll win the Premier League or something. It's not the mentality to have. I'd be pissed if, but do you know what? Actually, let me tell you something. In 2008, when Pompey won the FA Cup, it was like Fergus just said. It was the best day of my life. Like, I never thought I could ever watch my team, Portsmouth of all teams, go to Wembley, right? And I get to see Portsmouth lift the FA Cup with my dad. Like, I mean, the last time we won the FA Cup was 1939. Like, geez, and by the way, Lewis, you mentioned you've won it more times. Hey, Portsmouth's held it the longest, all right? Yeah, we held it in 1939 for the longest, 7 years in a row. Because
we're going to win it this year, and then coronavirus we'll have it for like 10 years.
Yeah, there you go. But like, I watched that game with my old man, and it was like a dream come true. I've just watched it. And then we got into Europe, and like, I travelled to Wolfsburg. We lost the game 3-2, even though we were 1-0 up or 2-1 up or something. We lost 3-2. I thought that was the best. Again, like, this is brilliant. I'm in Germany watching Portsmouth. Never thought I'd do that. In 2010, Portsmouth were relegated from the Premier League. We went on a cup run and we got to the FA Cup final again. And we played Chelsea. We had this team full of loanee players. It was people like Jamie O'Hara, Kevin Prince Boateng. We had, I think, J-Mo in goal and stuff like this, right? We had players that nobody wanted in the Premier League and we took them, right? And we got to the FA Cup final. And let me put it this way. Every Portsmouth fan was heartbroken after that game for two reasons. We just lost the FA Cup to Chelsea 1-0. It was a great goal from Drogba to win it. Secondly, we didn't have enough money to pay for our UEFA fees to put an application in. If we'd put that application in, I think it was like 200,000 or something you have to pay at the time it was, we would have been in Europe in 2010-11 season in the Championship. We would have. But we had no money. Now, tell me,
I never knew that
would have been pride right there as well. Yeah, we could not afford it. So, Chelsea won it. They already won the league, I think. So they did the double that year. I think it was either that. They were already in Champions League.
So you would have gone into Europe?
The Champions League. So we would have got into Europe. So that one extra place would have gone into Europe automatically to Portsmouth. But we did not have the money. So, to me, there's just no passion from the bigger fans. It's just it's just common courtesy that you guys should be in Europe every year. And I'm not having a go at you boys or anything like that.
Dan, sorry, Matt, 1 second. Dan, do you remember us up at Burnley speaking to old man Les, and listen to Matt's conversation there and talking about what it's like. We're spoilt as Arsenal fans.
Yes, that's exactly it. It's not just Arsenal fans, though.
No. I agree.
I agree.
Wow.
I think what's interesting is to have that, because I live in Colchester in Essex, and a lot of people around me are Ipswich Town fans, and they say exactly what you've just said, Matt. Is Arsenal fans, they just moan, does me, and I'd love to be in their position. I think the reason that people are saying this now is because we want to see Arsenal back at the top again, and maybe we are a bit spoiled, and maybe you're right there. And I think the only way that some of us can see us doing that is because I don't believe the squad is good enough to compete. I'd like to see us, even if it means us going back out of Europe to one game a week, so that we can try to do what Leicester have done this season, which is finish higher than us, one game a week. What Liverpool did when they nearly won the league, if it wasn't for a Gerrard slip, which was one game a week out of Europe, and what Antonio Conte did when he won the league with Chelsea when they had one game a week. And that, I think, is why it is. It's not the fact of Arsenal fans saying we don't believe that this, we believe that, we believe this. Some of them, you will get that. You will get that because our fan base can be very toxic. But I think what you say, Matt, is spot on, because Portsmouth would love to be in our position, and I don't think that any fan would disagree with you there and say that it is more frustrating being an Arsenal fan than a Portsmouth fan. Not at all. So I think that's an interesting one, and that's a great point to make, mate. It really is, because we don't get fans on here like yourself in your position. So it's great to hear your opinion on that, man. So respect to you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just, quickly here, look at Sheffield. And no offense, but everybody's rooting for Sheffield to get into Europe. I am. I want that to happen. So it's just a little bit of a wake-up call for maybe the bigger clubs. Who knows? But going back to them Pompey and tomorrow, with the question, Jan, about Curtis and some of our players. I actually had a dream that Curtis was going to score tomorrow. I don't know what the score was. I just had a dream that he was going to score one. And I said to my old man, just put £5 on, Curtis to score at any time. He's gone on a little bit of a drought lately because he is only a winger. He's our winger. You got Marquis up from Marcus. He's our striker and stuff like
Ellis
that.
Harrison as well. You got Ellis Harrison from Ipswich.
Ellis Harrison, and he's actually done well. Him and Marquis will come in, and a lot of it will just pressure. Just press the living hell out of you, win the ball, and the fans are going to be on top of the field, so they're going to be right on top of that pitch, mate, on top of the Arsenal fans, and they're not going to like it. Whereas Portsmouth fans are right, Portsmouth players are used to this every week, So I feel like if we can get in your head and get a goal, it's going to be a very interesting game. Even if you go 2-0 up, and we can get that one goal, I think it'll
be
turn
rocking
into a
in there,
little
won't
bit
it?
of an air
It'll be rocking at Fratton Park.
I
really
truly
will.
do. It will be. So there's a couple of players, the two strikers and Curtis to look out for. And then obviously back four and a young goalkeeper. If Bass plays, he's young, very young. Came through the ranks and stuff like that. He knocked our number one out, from the goalkeeper ranks.
I feel sorry for Dan, Lewis, and Corey, because between me and you, he's not got a word in edgeways.
Whose fault is that? Used to. Unbelievable.
No, but now I'll let you get back to you talking about your Arsenal boys. Eh? There you
go. No, Matt, honestly, we're only mucking around. We appreciate it, man. That's what it's all about. It's a great insight. Corey, we're going to come to you on some team news, man, because it looks like the team is probably going to be a little bit of a rotated team from Thursday night. What do you think the Arsenal team's going to be, mate?
I don't know. Reece Nelson has been on the bench last few games, so I expect to see him start. And Ketia, he's been doing well. I'm happy for him to start this match. Martinelli has been out of the side. He's not been starting. So I expect to see him as well. Torreira back in midfield. Willock. Hopefully we get to see our new signing, the centre back.
Pablo Mari, yeah.
Pablo Mari, yeah. Because we signed, what was it? We're coming into March now, and we signed him in January, and he hasn't kicked the ball yet. So,
it was January.
Sorry, Corey. From what I heard, the Brazilian league were actually in their pre-season, so I think Arteta just wanted him to get up to speed over here and settle down and stuff like that. That's all it is. That's probably why we haven't seen him just yet.
Okay, so yeah, he'll probably get a start as well. Martinez in goal. I expect to see that. Ainsley at right back. I really actually hope Ainsley puts in a really, really good performance, because there is an argument that he should be starting most of our games with Bellerin in the form that he's in. I still think Bellerin's our future, but it's not really fair on Ainsley that there's a guy in the side that is performing less than what he was, and he can't get in.
We got a non-right back performing better than a natural right back.
Yeah, so
that's quite alarming.
So Arteta needs to be a bit more, I think, braver with his selection, just like he was with, say, Nketiah, bring him in into side. It's like let's see what Ainsley can do if you put him back in as well. So, yeah, I think that's what the team would be.
Man, I've got to say, Corey, that is spot on from what I had. I had Martinez in goal, Maitland-Niles right back. I think Saka's our only option left back, but I had Mari and Socrates at the back. I had Torreira, Guendouzi and Willock, and then I had Nketiah up front with Martinelli left and Nielsen right. That's pretty much spot on to what you said, to be honest.
Could you play Maitland-Niles left and Bellerin right?
The only thing I wouldn't play Bellerin. I was there Thursday night and he started flagging after about 45 minutes. He was really awful, and especially the type of injury that he's had and the amount of games he's played since he's come back from Chelsea. I think it's just a game where we shouldn't really throw him in. I think we should put Ainsley in and let him get some minutes and let him show Arteta why he should have a shout for that right back spot.
Yeah, Fergus, I wanted to bring you in on this one because I know that you're not a huge fan of Bellerin, right? But let me tell you this. Ainsley Maitland-Niles had Zaha in his pocket. He also had Rashford in his pocket. Bellerin couldn't keep up with Leighton Baines, who's 35. What is going on with Bellerin?
He needs a bacon sandwich.
This is vegan. Is that what it is?
Listen. You're right. I'm not a huge fan. I thought Bellerin, before he got injured, and in the very early days of Emery, looked at almost his best. He looked like he could defend. He looked like he was fast on the wing. He can never cross. He's never been able to cross. He never will be able to cross, in my opinion. He, on Thursday night, I was watching in a bar in Liverpool with no sound, with loads of Scousers and stuff, so it was difficult for me to get a full impression. But on Thursday night and the previous game he played in, he runs up and down that wing. He's lost loads of pace. He still vacates that right back. I talked to you at the games, Dan. He vacates that right space and causes problems for Mustafi, whoever else is in that right side of centre mid. For me, I don't think he's good enough. I just don't think he's good enough. Maitland-Niles is not a natural, but Maitland-Niles, when he's in that position, has done a better job than Hector Bellerin, in my view. Hector Bellerin, though, in his to his credit, is a gooner through and through. He'd run through brick walls for Arsenal, but unfortunately, he's in the wrong position, and I don't know what position you could switch him to.
Yeah, it's a strange one with Bellerin. He looks to have lost his pace, but he is coming back from a horrendous injury. It's just ridiculous that we've got 3 ACLs in Holding, Bellerin, and now Chambers. But normally you get one of those every few seasons. We've got 3 in 1, which is crazy. Lewis, we'll come to you quick because I just want to talk about some of the youngsters for a minute because that looks like who we're going to go with. I want to talk about Saka, Guendouzi, Nketiah, obviously Martinelli. I know it's not great to be an Arsenal fan this season, but surely the future does look bright if we can keep hold of some of these players. Which ones excite you moving forward?
For me, the most exciting one out of the lot has to be Martinelli. Every time he picks up the ball, he looks like he's going to do something. He's willing. He just got that desire, that passion, and that energy you want up front, because that's what we really lacked on Thursday night. Until he came on Thursday, we had nothing. We was flat, and he comes on and he was involved in the goal. Surely Arteta has to see that, and he needs to implement this young man into the team somehow. Just like Eddie, I wasn't impressed with Eddie against Newcastle. I thought he gave the ball away quite a bit, but then he really did make me change my mind against Everton. I absolutely slated the team selection that Sunday, and he made me He made me eat my words. He took his goal really well, and that combination with Saka, you want to see that come to fruition. You want to build your team around these young players and bring in the experience just to guide them along, and we just don't have that experience to help them to their next level where they're playing consistently.
I've been really impressed with Martinelli in pre-season and then throughout this season. The goals, the stats have been fantastic. But Corey, I want to talk about our young left back, because to me now it looks like he needs a break. He's playing every game because we've got no other option. I didn't think he was fantastic on Thursday. I didn't think he was fantastic at times in the Premier League game, but the guy has got so much ability, Saka, and I just feel like we need to try and get him on a contract as long as possible.
Yeah, 6 years. Like, the slap that in front of him. What's he on? Like $3,000 a week at the moment?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of money to me, but in the football world, it's they need to do something about that. They can't. We're not renowned for being good on renewing contracts, so we need to change that, and we give him like a 5-6 year deal. I think he'll take it, and I think he knows he's hot right now, but at the same time, he's cut his teeth at Arsenal. I think he'll want to sign a professional contract and stay for the time being. So I don't see a problem there. And with regards to like his positioning and whatnot, we keep saying he's not really a left back. He's done a great job there. When we're not that impressed with him, it's usually in the defensive part of the pitch where, sometimes he could be found out a bit. So we do have a left back coming back in March, Kieran Tierney. He dislocated his shoulder, so in terms of training and whatnot, he should be quite fit, because with running and whatnot, that it shouldn't stop him from doing any of that in training. So I think he'll be fit to come back in, and I do want to see him get a run of games, and I wouldn't mind seeing Saka in front of him, see how that works, because he's had to do so much defensive work of late. I mean, I think that side of the pitch could be really solid defensively. And most of his good work has been in the offensive part of the pitch. So let's see what he can do when he doesn't have to worry about defending so much.
Yeah, I think that will help Saka out massively, because Tierney for me is definitely our number one left back, and I think that Saka needs to be pushed forward. I do believe that he will be better for us as a left winger. Fergus, are we going to see any first team players tomorrow? Are we going to see like Aubameyang on the bench, Lacazette, Ozil's on the bench, or are we going to go young, give him a break completely?
I think we'll go mostly young. I think we should probably start Lacazette and maybe Eddie up top, but and Martinelli. only because Lacazette, he needs to either shape up or off. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think we will see a good mixture. Probably Willock with maybe Ceballos or Guendouzi on the bench to rotate that spot. I'd like to see Torreira start over Guendouzi. Who would take the Xhaka position?
Well, I listen. I went for a Torreira, Willock, and Guendouzi, so I think it will probably be Willock as like the number 10, and then Guendouzi and Torreira. That's what I went for. But listen, we could see a mix. Matt, I'll come to you quickly on this because would we underestimate Portsmouth by leaving all of our top players at home?
I don't think it. It's a tough one. Like, I want to say yes as a Portsmouth fan. Like, we want to see your big boys. You know, if we were going to lose, I want to see your big boys out there and have, you know, the two Lacazette and all that up there against us. You know, we want to see that. We don't want, no offense, we don't want to come down and, you know, I can't speak for your first team, but like, you know, I don't want to play your kids. Even if they do beat us, I don't want to play your kids. Like, it's not the point of this cup. You know what I mean? And Arsenal, after their performance in last week, you shouldn't be playing your kids. You should be playing your big boys. That's if, you know, you want to carry on and then start getting a run together. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, you know, that's to then say your big boys or the kids come in and beat us. And it does give, you know, like Lacazette and all that some time off for you. So I don't know. It'd just be disheartening for Portsmouth fans to lose to the kids rather than the big boys. You know, I'd rather lose to your big boys than anything else. But then if you put your kids out and you lose to us, don't come running and complaining. All right,
mate. That's happened before, mate. Trust me, that has happened before a few times. So, Corey, what do we think about tomorrow's game, man? Portsmouth. I personally don't think it's going to be like a 4 or 5-0. What's your prediction for it, Corey?
We're gonna want to bounce back after Thursday, even if it's not the same players that were on the pitch on that day. You want to lift the spirits because that was a big blow to the club. So we're gonna, with the FA Cup, a lot of times it comes down to who wants it more. You know, that's why the smaller teams can beat the bigger teams, because sometimes the bigger teams are not that fast, and the smaller teams are. But for this game, we should want it more than Portsmouth. So I would expect a 3-0.
Okay, 3-0. Okay, Lewis, what are you going for tomorrow, bro?
Well, considering Portsmouth's ground's one of them tight little compact places, and a lot of our players aren't used to that type of atmosphere. If Pompey get that first goal, I want to know if we've got the mental strength to actually be able to push through that and get the goal back. I've got a feeling it will be a 3-1 Arsenal. I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal.
3-1 to the Arsenal. Fergus, what are you going for?
I didn't give it any indication of my score. 3-1.
3-1 as well. I'm going to go...
I do fear, as Lewis said, if they score first, our bottle might go. But I think our young kids are more resilient than our elders.
Okay, interesting. I think Portsmouth will score. I'm going to nick it 2-1 and go for a 2-1 win. Matt, lastly, what do you think the score will be, mate?
We're going for a 2-1 Pompey win. But all I want to do is score a goal. Like, seriously, just score a goal and you guys will be, I think, blown away by the atmosphere at Fratton Park tomorrow. That's
Matt,
it. I just think it's going to be.
Matt, can I ask you a question? Who do you see as main threat? Our main threat to you. If you were to look at a lineup, who are you thinking? Oh shit! Didn't want to see him lining up.
If I was going to be honest, it would be someone like Lacazette if he was going to play against us, right? So that would be your two strikers. Seriously, that I don't fear your defenders. I honestly don't fear them at all.
Don't blame you.
If that was your first team. And it sounds like terrible, but like I feel like we've got just as much pace up front as your boys have. And I think, if we could get it, yeah, you know, we play a lot more physical, and it's quite funny now to see because, like, you know, in League One, some of these fouls that happen in the Premier League don't happen in League One, and so, you know, it'd be interesting. But like, if I was to say honestly, it'd be Özil, Lacazette, and I'm going to try and pronounce his name, Aubameyang. Is that right?
Yeah, Aubameyang.
I really, I think like them three would be the. Oh shit! Like, this is going to go down. But after that, I'm not worried about your back four at all. Not at all.
Worrying state of affairs for Arsenal Football Club that we got, with no disrespect, but it is disrespectful by the way I'm going to say it, that a team in the Championship are not worried about our defensive side of our club.
Say that one more time. Let me think about that.
It's a very worrying state of affairs, and it wasn't meant with any disrespect, although it will come across as disrespectful by the way I say it, or by saying it. But it's a worrying state of affairs that a Championship club is not worried about our defensive.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think it is. I honestly think it is worrying for you guys, because I just feel like, if I'm honest with you, that's something Arsenal have been lacking for the last 5+ years. Your back four and your goalkeeper. If you had, and everybody, like, you know,
how do you rate our keeper?
And please,
interesting. You mentioned our keeper. How do you rate him?
I mean, he's a bog standard Premier League keeper. I don't think. I mean, whoever I've been watching, and I don't know their names, so I do apologize, but that back four and that goalkeeper, I think they're just bog standard. I think the Arsenal have been.
Who's our best defender?
Are you? And I want to say, and please again help me out here, but at the time I didn't mind Bellerin. Is that right? And I mean, is he a defender for you guys, right?
Yeah, the one I've just been slagging off for the last 10 minutes. Yeah,
And me.
But you've got to remember, like, that's all. I don't really, like, you know, sit there and watch Arsenal every week in, week out.
Lucky, mate. You're lucky.
So,
you're lucky.
Yeah, trust me. It's been a long roller coaster ride for the last 10 years for us. So don't, you know, come in there. But no, I mean, if we can get at you, exactly. I think Lewis said it. We're very tight. You know, Fratton Park's a very small place to come. It can get into the fans, the players' heads. Sorry, it can get at the players anytime. And with the noise that can come from it, if it's a sellout, so it should be a good day for both sets of fans. You know, there's no like real rivalry between Portsmouth and Arsenal, so it's not going to be like an ugly scene type thing. But I believe if we can get at you guys, it could be very interesting. But you like I said, your back four and your goalkeeper needs fixing for the last 5+ years. It has.
You're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, man. We have needed a new spine, to be fair, a new a couple of centre halves and a defensive midfielder. You're absolutely right, Matt. Before I ask the panel a question about Arsenal, I do want to come to one last thing on you before we wrap up, mate. And we went 49 games undefeated, in case anyone forgot that. We and as part of that invincible season, Teddy Sheringham scored a goal at Highbury for you guys, and you went 1-0 up. And then Perez got absolutely hacked in the box, horrendously badly. And we went and Henry scored the penalty. It had to be retaken, I believe, and then he put it in the opposite corner, and it was 1-1. You must have seen that, watching that, thinking, "Oh, Perez, bless you. I hope you're okay after that horrendous foul." What did you make of that? That must have been gutting for you boys, because that was a massive part of our season, and that could have been no 49 games and no unbeaten season if it wasn't for that dive in the penalty box.
We wouldn't have cheating Rooney, would we?
There we go. We wouldn't have been.
Well, seriously, it's a lot about it, because I think actually Perez, the next time you played, Portsmouth wasn't allowed to play that game, and they feared for his safety. I'm pretty sure it was that, because
I think you're right.
It was sickening. It was absolutely sickening as a Portsmouth fan to watch that. You know, this awesome, like, it was incredible. You know, Arsenal team lose to little Portsmouth, who like shouldn't have done. And you know, we never actually beat you guys home or away when we were in the Premier League. You always beat us or we drew. We never actually beat you or Chelsea in the Premier League. So that would have been one in the first year to tick off the bucket list. But so it was harsh. It was harsh, but hey, that's football. You know, you got to do what you got to do. You know, we could sit here and mope about it. But...
You deserve to win that game. I was in a box above the clock end, and literally above. Is it John, the guy with the bell and the tattoo?
Yeah.
He was ringing his bell out and everything else. And Perez took. Well, I think he must have tripped on something or something like that. But the foul that the Portsmouth player, I can't remember what his name was, committed on Bobby Perez. You know what? He should be in prison still today.
It was sickening. It was sickening. I mean, I've seen.
If that was VAR, it would have been a 10-game ban.
He should have had something. He should have had something back there, mate.
Yeah, man, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
VAR is a whole new subject, right?
It is, man. It is. Let's not even start on VAR.
Yeah, but gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, and you know, I wish you all the best of luck. And
listen, I wish you the best, man, and I'd love to see Portsmouth back up there, just because your fan base is fantastic. And I must say, Matt, you've been top drawer in here as well to give us an insight into that as well. But before we go, I just want to ask the panel a question, because the season is coming to an end. There's still a long way to go. We have 11 games. If Arsenal want to progress into the top four, and Fergus, I spoke to you about this, and I think Corey as well. There's 11 games left. I believe that we need to win 7, and we need to somehow take 2 draws off of Liverpool, Spurs, City, Wolves. Out of those 4 games, we need 2 draws out of those. Doesn't matter if we get 2 losses, but we need 2 draws. If we can do that, I think we'll get top 4. That for me is too big an ask. Does anyone disagree? Corey, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's a big ask to get 7 wins out of the 11. However, what's going on above us in the table is we're seeing these teams like fall apart. You know, Tottenham.
Always good to laugh.
I mean, yeah. You know, even like Leicester lost, Everton. Man United drew. Do you know what I mean? No, I don't see any, like, no one's really in form above us. So even though, yeah, if we were to get those 7 wins, I'll be very, very confident that we'll get top 4. But even without getting that many wins, I still wouldn't write us off. I still think it's doable.
There we go. Lewis, is there any disagreement there? Do you feel that top 4 is still ours for the taking?
I'm very similar to what Corey just said. I mean, it's about us taking the chances when the teams above and around us drop points, and it's quite known that we don't ever take advantage of that. There was a few weeks back where we really closed the gap on United and then went and drew a game or lost a game or something like that. So it's about now the players really thinking to themselves, do they want to get this Champions League spot or not? It's, you know, it's very doable. Like, just by the way the results went this weekend, it's very, very doable. But to get 7 wins, I don't know. I think it could be a bridge too far. Just
Fergus, any optimism on that, or is it going to be a little bit too tough to ask us to get top 4?
No, I think of the 7 wins that you say we need, we can definitely get 6 of them. And I also think we smash that lot down the road and finish above them. I think we get there. If you asked me this 4 or 5 games ago, could we make top 4? I said no. It's done. It's dusted. We're done. I don't care. League's over. Everything into Europa League. Europa League's done. Matt, as I said earlier, if you get through, good luck to you. I'll follow you through the whole way from there on. You'll be my second team in the FA Cup if Arsenal don't go through, just because I've met you on here. But I think it's possible. I really do think it's possible. Not only do I think it's possible, I think it's possible because there's 6 of those. I messaged you and I said, what did I say? There's so much. crap we got. Right, okay, West Ham. Yes, we can beat West Ham. Brighton away. Yes, Southampton away more difficult, but yes, I think we can beat them. Norwich at home, no problem. Villa at home, no problem. I say no problem, but what you would actually expect. And then Watford, yeah, I think those 6 games are winners, and I think you agreed with me, Dan. Then you go at City, Liverpool, Wolves, Spurs, and Leicester. We only need to win 1 out of those other 5 games. And City and Spurs, strangely, are the ones I don't worry about. Okay, the North London derby aside, but City and Spurs are the 2 teams that I fear the least out of those 5. I think Leicester could turn us over. Wolves are amazing. Liverpool, we know what's going on. It depends on their head. City, if City could get their act together, the way Liverpool have just bottled it now, or since January, if they were anywhere half decent, they could actually probably challenge for the title, but I think that's done. So I think off those 5, we beat Spurs away at their new posh stadium with fancy beer. Yeah.
And the Sky Bar.
Yeah. It's only an American football stadium. We beat Spurs at their place, and we smash Liverpool when they come to us, because remember, 49, 49, I say.
Man, I think that's a good way to end it, to be honest with you. Boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Fergus, thank you very much, mate. Please go and follow Fergus at Essex Gunner and at Guns and Ribbons. Fergus, when's Guns and Yellow Ribbons next about? When are you next on?
We're on. We got Dan Mountney from the Islington Gazette and the London on with us on Wednesday. You're joining me, I believe, as well on Wednesday night, and Trev is joining me. So we've got 4 or 5 of us on a Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, YouTube. YouTube Guns and Yellow Ribbons, Facebook Guns and Yellow Ribbons, Periscope Guns and Yellow Ribbons, and Twitter Guns and Ribbons, because some other person found our name was brilliant and took it.
Always the way. But thank you, Ferg, for coming on tonight, mate, and
thanks for
being yourself as always.
Corey, over.
Yeah, man, you like control, man. You like control. You're used to it. Corey, mate, always a pleasure, bro. How can people follow you on social media, Corey?
Instagram, Twitter at YG Corey, written there. So
Nice.
yeah. Shout out.
You're on Wednesday night as well, aren't you, Corey? Are you on Wednesday?
I don't know. Am I?
I don't know. Well, don't worry.
He's taken over again, isn't he? He's taken over again. That's what it is. But Corey, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on, bro. And we'll speak to you soon. You'll be coming on with me again, I'm sure, no doubt. Lewis, first time on, bro. All good, man.
Thank you for
Enjoy
having
it.
me on. Yeah, no, it was a good laugh. Thank you. Bit nervous, but got there in the end.
Man. Don't have to be nervous. You're all good, man. You're welcome on any time, bro. Always good to have another Arsenal fan on who's interested in sharing their views. And last but not least, Matt, you've been an absolute legendary, man. You really have. It's been great to have you on, and great to hear from. It's great to hear from any opposition fans' insight, to be fair, but great to hear your story, because it has been a rocky road for Portsmouth, being in the Premier League in Europe, coming down into League Two. And to be fair, the actual support is still there. So, mate, thank you so much for coming on, man.
It's also great to hear somebody else with a messed up accent, because you've got this American Portsmouth accent and I've got this London Irish accent going on. So I think
trust me, I get abuse about it every time I come home, mate. I've got like a Cockney Portsmouth accent apparently coming on every other word like Cockney, and then it's all over the show, mate.
To be fair, it's great.
House brothers from now on.
There you go. Matt, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, gentlemen, and good luck tomorrow, right?
Cheers. And before we go, I just want to put this comment on from Nigel, because we're talking about football respect here. And he said, good to see you guys smiling again, and congratulations on your invincible record not being broken. You'll never walk alone. Respect from Liverpool, which is always nice. So thank you, Nigel. Top man. Much appreciated. Boys, Thanks very much for all of you coming on. Thank you all in the chat room. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for watching us live. Please go and follow us if you haven't done so already. Come and follow myself at DanArsenal87 and also at Same Old AFC. Same Old Arsenal will be back tomorrow evening with Harry, Lee, Craig, and potentially Mark as well. And I think Nigel might be joining. Nigel as well from the chat. So hopefully it'd be good to see and listen to all of those boys if we do get a win tomorrow night. But until then, Fergus, I'll leave you to say this.
Up the arse.